All right, everybody, welcome back to the Subscription Podcast. This is episode 15, and we're back from our hiatus, what we call our SubSummit hiatus. And I'm excited today to be joined by Alex and Bradley, the video crew. Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us, filling in for CG like we know how to do.
Yep,
Yeah.
happy to be here.
You guys are pros, man. This is going to be a great conversation. We have a whole bunch of things to talk about today. We got to dive into Netflix's password sharing. We have to talk about that because that's some pretty big news. Golf season is upon us. I think there's some fun things to talk around golf subscriptions out there. And I want to maybe talk about loyalty programs, but before we get into that, if we have time, we can talk about loyalty programs. I think we should do like an unofficial SubSummit recap. You guys have some really good perspective on SubSummit. Just kind of seeing from the outside, behind the lens around everybody. And I think it would be really fun to get your feedback. And then when Chris comes back, we'll do our quote unquote official SubSummit recap on it. But
Yeah.
so we can let's dive right into it, guys. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so Alex, key question here: are your parents mad at you like my parents are that they had to get their own Netflix account?
Oh, yeah, no. So I'm on their Netflix account.
Oh, so you're mad at your parents?
Not yet, because I don't know that they've claimed their house yet as like the static IP address or however.
Did you claim this?
I did do it. I did do it. Thankfully, I had to watch the new season of I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson.
So what happens now when your parents go to log in?
So Bradley had gotten booted because his parents claimed it. So that's what prompted me to try our account. And I don't think my parents had claimed it yet at their house. So, but yeah, so like for Bradley, it said, actually, it doesn't look like this is the official account holder's household or whatever. And so I can't remember what the message said exactly, but it basically, I was like, they got me, we can't use Bradley's account. And so I tried ours and it said, is this the official household? And I said, yes. And so I think whenever I get that call that they figured it out and they can't use their Netflix account, I'll probably have to take my Roku down the road or we'll have to do something in the account to fix it. But as of right now, they're in need of a new account, not me.
So this brings up an interesting point because in situations like this, that's easily resolvable. Where your parents call you, they're like, "What do I do, Alex?" They're panicking, and you're like, "Don't worry, Mom and Dad, I got it," and you can solve that problem for them. What about those accounts where it's like an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend like has access to it still, and maybe you're not in communication, and they take it, like, because you can reclaim it, right? How many times can you switch households? Like, what happens here now?
That's a great question. Do you know, Bradley?
There might be a system in which you have to set something up behind the scenes where you say, hey, like, this is my house now. Because otherwise you could just keep moving houses. You know what I mean?
I think if it's like Hulu, you get so many a year where you can, like, so many times you can authenticate your location or whatever.
So
right?
is Hulu already ahead? Like, I kind of thought that now the other thing we want to talk about with this is that this is not going anywhere because Netflix is seeing insanely high new subscriber rates. So I kind of thought, hey, now the rest of the streaming industry is going to follow suit. But I hadn't considered that.
Well, where Hulu had done it before was from a live standpoint. And that was to protect like the local markets and things like that. So you could watch Hulu live on your TV and your mobile devices when you're traveling. It wouldn't let me do Hulu live on my laptop, I don't think, but I could always watch Hulu live on my phone. And that's why like the iPad that we have here can stream Hulu live through my account, but I can't put it on my computer. So Hulu Live would do authentication and you'd get like 4 times, I think in the lifetime of your subscription, you could like re-authenticate your location. And so you could change it if you're going to be somewhere for a long period of time or whatever. Okay. But it's a similar thing, I'd imagine, where like you overtake it or whatever on that end. But I'd be curious to find out what happens here. But,
yeah, I'll come back to you with that because I'm sure it'll be sooner rather than later that they come back and are wondering why they can't watch anything.
Right. I'd be curious. So like here are the headlines around this. Netflix has seen its 4 biggest days of subscriber additions in the 4.5 years that Data Antenna has provided tracking around this. And so, I mean, this is good, and it's sent the stock up obviously through the roof because they're seeing way more value, more subscribers. But at what point, like, what point do people start canceling? Like I felt like what we were going to see was like a large amount of cancellations happening.
Well, I thought the last time I was on the podcast, we talked about this, and my dad and I had just had a conversation. We're like, there's not enough on Netflix that I need to watch where, I'm going to treat it as kind of like a voluntary churn situation from the standpoint that more of like a use it when you need it and cancel when you don't.
Yeah. So, all right. So you mentioned earlier share of wallet when we're talking about streaming, but let's talk about share of wallet from the standpoint of golfing and golf subscriptions. And like, if you're going to spend your money, because now we're in golf season officially, even though in Michigan, I see people golfing in January on a one.
I golf all year. Yeah. I try to play once a month regardless of the weather. Yeah.
Okay. So December,
like my dad and I, we bundle up like, you got the Under Armour on, you got the winter gloves, they have, these rain covers you can put on, you bring your own to the golf course with you to put on the golf cart, and then you put a little propane heater that fits in the propane canister fits in the cup holders in the golf cart, and so you can keep your little bubble warm. And
we're going to die of asphyxiation at that point.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Just be careful with
that. I'm still kicking it. So no, there's a lot. We go to great lengths to get our golf in here in Michigan. Yeah.
Okay, so as the year runs, but now is like the main season for golf here coming up. You're mentioning a golf subscription pre-podcast here.
Yeah. Well, I was just kind of thinking about it. We're post SubSummit, a little bit of time to breathe and relax a little bit, and so I've been trying to play as much as I can. And there's a lot of, I don't know how many golf merchant brands we have in our.
There's Mullybox.
Mullybox, okay.
Oh gosh, now I'm trying.
I'm putting you on the spot. I don't want to let you leave anyone out, but it's a lot of tech, like apps, like freemium model apps for GPS, for tracking your score, for keeping your handicap. There's membership in a sense that there's the official. I can't remember what it stands for. Golf handicap. It's GHIN, Golf Handicap Index something. That's how you keep your official handicap. So if you were to play in an amateur tournament or whatever, you have a club that you register with, and that's a yearly fee, so membership. And each state has its own association that's part of that, and so you pay your membership dues to that. And app I really, really like, cool tech, called Arccos, Arccos, I believe. Would love to have them out at SubSummit to chat with them.
Arccos Golf.
It's a cool app and tech combo. So there's these sensors that you screw into the ends of your golf clubs. Each club, you have one individual sensor per club, and you register them with the app. There's it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or radio or IR. I don't know exactly how it works, but basically it knows. So when your golf is vertical or your club is vertical, as if you're about to swing it, it turns a microphone on, and you keep your phone with the app open in your pocket. And when you have your swing, that it's activated because it's vertical, and the microphone picks up the ball strike, and it knows what club you hit with, because each sensor is unique to each club. And also it has the GPS app of each course, the bird's eye view of it. So it will mark your strike in the app. So then you can just check it to make sure it registered it accurately. You drive to the ball, you hit your next shot with whatever club you have, and then it completes that shot. So it knows you hit your driver to this part of the fairway.
What a brilliant way of doing that.
Yeah, and so then the data and everything that it keeps, it knows on these courses where there's trouble on the left, you tend to miss the fairway right, and it gives you insights and tips to improve your game. And it says recently in your last 10 rounds, you've been playing this much worse than your handicap indicates you should be playing. Here's some tips to help your driving accuracy. And it has links to videos and stuff and promos with pros. It's really, 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 really cool combination of tech and data, and I see a lot of value in it. I pay for it annually, the subscription.
That's cool. It's not cheap though. It's $250.
Yeah. So they've had some different rounds. I think they're on Gen 3 or 4 of the sensors. And my dad was an early adopter, played with it for a few years before it was a subscription. You paid for the sensors and then got free access to the app. and I think he's either still grandfathered in or they've ended the grandfather, and he may be paying now as well. But
either way, that's super cool.
Super cool, super worthwhile. I pay annually. I tell everyone I golf with about it. And
do you use a referral code? Do you use any sort of like referral?
I haven't.
You're just telling people without getting any kickback on it.
Because people see it, they're like, "You're always on your phone when you're playing," or "What's that little green thing on the end of your club?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Arccos. It's sweet. You gotta check it out." I'm the strong brand advocate.
I know that, but like this is a miss from the app side. Like even Tesla does this. You know, when you open up the app, sometimes the little loot box in the corner like shines and shows you the opportunity. Like here's what you could get for your referrals, and you're referring, $30,000-$40,000 cars to people. So it's like, even at that level, they're promoting it. There's nothing in the app that's telling you like a referral.
There may be, but like my workflow is I show up to the course, you search, it uses your location, it can predict where you're at, and you download all the course data.
Do you have the app on your phone right now?
Yeah,
pull it up and see if there's got to be some sort of. This is a huge miss if they're not, because that's a great way to grow business. And Jay Myers gave this talk at SubSummit 22 about that, and about like that it's subscription death curve, and how the best way through, when you slow for acquisition and your retention is starting to pick up, the best way through that is by leaning on referrals and referral sources. We talked about a ton even at SubSummit this year. It's a never-ending conversation. But that's where, like, and this is the onus on the app developers, you really got to focus on building that opportunity and putting it in front of people. Like, how are you liking this? Do you want to refer it out to people right now?
I don't see. I'm manage account. I can manage my subscription. It pulls up a little like embedded.
Yeah, like so Alex, pretend if they put this out in front of you, like, hey, do you want Arccos free? You're free for the summer. You would get this free for the summer. Refer it like on the next referral. You're probably going to be more likely to show it to somebody, right?
I mean, I'm already super likely, but yeah, I probably would be going more out of my way. And you're right, that talk from Jay Myers at last year's SubSummit in Orlando, 2022, was so like, I was still new to subscriptions then, and I felt like I learned just so much about the industry in general from that talk, and because I was like, oh, churn's important, okay, oh, LTV, all these things, like these are all really important, and then he came in with the knowledge bomb on how impactful referral rate is, and I was like, oh, geez,
how many people bought it, do you think, because that you told them about it?
I have a lot of friends that tell me every year, they're like, I'm close, but it's a lot,
Like, and what if your referral gave them like $50 off for, the next?
I think I have two or three close friends that would get it this summer.
And see, because like right now on their website, they list it for $350 and then a strike through, and it's got $250. The other thing I noticed where there's a missed opportunity for them, they have 5-star review based on one review. Like,
on their website?
Yeah, their website.
Yeah.
And they should be asking you like what you think about it. They should be asking for a review. I'd be curious in the App Store. There might be a ton more reviews in the App Store, but on the product on their website for the Arccos Starter Bundle.
Well, and it's important because it's not just an app that you can download and subscribe to and boom, you're going. You have to have this pack of 14 sensors to plug into each of your clubs, and so that's part of why you see that starter bundle is the main thing, because it is a combo. It's software and hardware.
Yeah. What a cool way to do it though, because my mind would go to like putting chips in the balls and having some sort of like trackable golf ball that could be out there. And that's what's doing that. But just as smart to say like, okay, next time you swing, that's where the ball landed. So why do you actually need to track where the golf ball landed?
Right.
Because, unless you lose it and you get
it's so perfect because there was already a couple main like competitors in the GPS part of the space, and you can keep your score. You can kind of see the hole from far away, and you can drop little pins to try to pick your distances. But the powerful part to me is the insights. Like before my round, every time I play, I look at like, how I've been playing over my last rolling 5-round average. And it's like, wow, I'm really putting bad. Like I got to quit worrying about all this other stuff and focus on putting. So
do you get emails from them?
I do. I don't really, I think it goes to a filter I have for marketing spam. I don't really check it, but I think they do have
Be curious. I see their Father's Day sale coming up, but I'd be curious, like, if they talk to you about giving referrals for, man, I hope we need to tag these guys in this post because this is a huge opportunity for them to earn more business at such a low cost versus like putting ads out there and things like that. Tremendous opportunity for them to grow. Do you pay for the app then? Do you pay for the membership?
So your first time around, you buy a bundle. It's your first year of membership with the sensors.
How long have you had it for?
I've had it for probably 4 years now.
Okay, so you're paying for an annual
It's
membership
on auto renew annual.
What do you pay for it?
I think, I don't know. It's like $100.
It's so good you don't even know.
Yeah,
what care.
it's an expense. I mean, $100 for it's not cheap, but I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, it comes.
I couldn't golf without it. I could, but it'd be a big like readjustment.
$13 a month is what they say. Billed annually, so $12.99 to $13 annually. So not a ton of money. But yeah, that's interesting. That's fascinating. It's a cool concept and a cool way to go. Any other golf subscriptions that you use?
So there's a big one. There's a Tee Time app. I think NBC bought it. It used to be called Golf Now.
Yeah.
Now it's part of NBC's Golf Pass.
Yeah.
You get the coverage for the PGA events. It's a lot like the CVS membership, the Caremark Plus. You get I don't know what the annual cost is. Let's say it's $100 a year.
This is the Golf Pass Plus,
the Golf Pass Premium, whatever the paid subscription is. One of the main benefits right on there is $100 in Tee Time credit. So it's almost, I don't know if it's exactly 1-to-1, but it's almost the whole. I have not subscribed to this yet. It's just this year that I've gone back and had to try to use this app to book a couple tee times. And when you first open the app, it's subscribe to Golf Pass, whatever. I don't know. I don't know enough, but that was one that just like last week I played and saw it, and I was like, I'm probably gonna end up getting this because it reminded me of the CVS one where it's almost a no-brainer because of the credit they give you. Like around here, $100 or whatever it was, that's almost 2 rounds of golf.
Oh, look at this bundle they're doing. You get Golf Pass plus Golf Now, whatever the heck that is, plus Peacock. So, NBC owns all this, and obviously they're trying to kind of bundle things. We talked about that at SubSummit a lot too, is super bundling and bundling. There's definitely a place for it out there, and we had some great talks about it. But yeah, you can get there's Golf Pass Video and then Golf Pass Plus.
Yeah, I think there's like a lesson subscription, like different, like a video library for different. Pretty cool.
Yeah, you get $10 anytime monthly Tee Time credits, Tee Time protection on 10 bookings. You get Golf Pass. This is pretty cool.
It's a lot of value. It felt like I at first glance, I haven't dug into it yet, but the first pop up on the app gave me, I'm probably gonna end up getting the value felt very like tangible just at that first glance. So
yeah, that's smart. And the Tee Time credit that they're giving out is little to no cost for the golf club, because golf club knows, like, okay, if I'm giving $10 to Alex for a Tee Time this month, he's still going to come out. He's going to get beers and burgers. He's going to bring his buddies with him. They're all going to get Tee Times. So it's like, it's a small thing that offsets that cost that really everybody's winning on. You as a consumer, the app is winning on it because they're getting people in the door. The golf clubs are winning because they're driving more people there because maybe they're getting more bookings because of the credits. So like stuff like that, where there's like low friction, where everybody can see success and benefit from it, is a really awesome thing to add to a membership.
Yeah, it feels like now at a glance, the way you mentioned the actual golf course's involvement in this, I wonder if are they with golf, the app, the Tee Time booking part of it specifically. I know there's probably a lot less to manage than a DoorDash, but I wonder if them chatting, if anything, would uncover, just that you mentioned the clubs being involved and how they fit into the business model. I hadn't even considered, and it strikes me similarly to the way that DoorDash has to interface with all these restaurants and places. So
yeah, it's funny you bring it up, because I saw somebody post about this the other day on LinkedIn, and then I went on the hunt for everybody that works for Golf Pass on LinkedIn, and I started connecting with as many people I thought would be relevant to SubSummit as possible, because we're already starting our outreach for SubSummit 24, looking for great speakers, looking for just great people to be involved. And I think it's a great time to kind of dive into SubSummit and talk about it a little bit. We were right around almost 1,300 attendees this year. Some awesome, great brands in the room. But my biggest takeaway from it is like, still, no matter the size, and we've grown from where we started with 200 people in the room to this level, almost 1,300 now. Still, the conversations felt very intimate, beneficial to everybody. I don't know, like, what was your takeaway on like? I'd be curious from your side, Brado, too. Like, what are you guys feeling as the conversations in the room and the people at SubSummit?
I'll let Brad jump in because he's got more experience. It was kind of a fresh experience for me because my first SubSummit, I was still an intern. It was all very new, and I was just trying to do my video and stay out of the way. So this was a very new experience for me, even though my second SubSummit. But for Bradley, I wonder what his was like.
Are you saying in comparison to past SubSummits?
No, I brought up the passes just like a comparison of like, it still had that intimate feel to it.
100%.
And that's something like is super important. I think it's challenging when people hear large event, they hear like, oh, thousands of people and just going to be just a bunch of people walking around. But like, it's still like the conversations I saw happening and the feedback I got of like, oh my gosh, I had one talk with somebody and it completely paid for this 10 times over.
Yeah. And we saw that a lot in terms of the feedback too. It was like networking was the big thing. That was their biggest thing that they loved about the conference.
What was your overall observation though of SubSummit? Like if you had like a elevator pitch takeaway, I don't know. I'm curious what you.
Well, it would be similar to yours in a sense that there was those intimate conversations without, losing the fact that this is a big conference and stuff like that. So I think it's very similar to yours. I think the conversations themselves, from what I know of, are actually quite different from the previous years. And I think that might reflect the landscape of things, how things have changed. There's a lot of conversation about AI. We had a huge fill of a track room that was with AI. But like overall observations, especially with how things just get bigger and bigger, and hosted buyer is like massive this year, like massive. And yet it does still retain that. So I think I feel in line with kind of what you're saying on that ideology of it being intimate yet, bigger and better in so many ways.
Yeah, I heard that from doing interviews with attendees, first time returning vets, and on the merchant and on the supplier side. I talked to a good sampling of everybody, and that was the big thing, like from the suppliers, were that, even though it's bigger than it has been in years past, it's still not the biggest conference they go to. But what they liked about that is they were able to talk to almost everybody. Yeah. And so the quality of, new connections that they're making, and the volume of them was super, super valuable to them. And then from the merchant side, new people coming like Peacock, Amanda, I was talking with Amanda Dames from Peacock, and she told me how much we had a great interview. She couldn't believe, she didn't know what to expect. She didn't like going to conferences, but she just couldn't believe how, in detail the conversations were with people that she never would have thought, you're having these random conversations with. So it was just really cool to hear from the different people and what they felt about it. Yeah. And I could feel that too.
Yeah, that was fun. Amanda pulled me aside. I happened to run into her in the expo hall somewhere, and she's like, I got to tell you, like, this is one of the best conferences I've ever been to. And she showed me the Slack message she sent to her boss. She goes, yeah, I sent this to my direct report, that how great this conference is. And her reply to me was, must mean that means a lot because I know you generally hate conferences. And so that was super cool to hear and to get that kind of feedback. And for her, I think it was a lot around the conversation. There, Bradley, I know you didn't get as much time because you were kind of holed up in the room putting the finishing touches on the worst subscription, which I don't know how we describe this in podcast form because like you have to like watch it, and
I think you just got to DM one of us send one of us a message on LinkedIn, and we'll send you a link to the full thing.
I say we just check it out. We'll link it in the description.
Yeah, I think
right in the description.
I think we should. So to tee the audience up a little bit on this, if you weren't at SubSummit and you're not familiar with what this is, Every year we have our Cube Awards, a big awards ceremony, and we honor the best and brightest in subscription. And over the years, we've continued to evolve that show. And part of that show now, we play some interlude videos. And what's important to us is when we say, our term is interlude videos, but we provide entertainment in between some of the awards. And that is an ongoing video series throughout the show. And we started this last year. And I think, what was like the premise of last year was just about Chris Chambers wanting to like learn all the subscriptions.
So it was.
What was the arc? The story arc last year.
The story arc was that he was tasked to learn about all the subscriptions, and he misheard you earlier, and so he was crammed to learn it. So he learned them all within a day. And, and it was, and then he kind of screwed up because you didn't say like do like top to bottom research, like you don't have to go crazy. So it ended up being this whole thing. But yeah, that was a good way of cramming and showing those off. And I think we had a really creative way of doing that this time too, of showing them all like quickly. And
that's the kind of the thing we like to do with this is use this as a way to highlight those subscriptions that are involved in the Cube Awards, the nominees that are honored. And so tell me, like, just to kind of preview the idea to the audience, how did you guys come up with this idea to begin with for this year's video?
So it first started with Chris making the name up, that punny name of the worst subscription, standing for the bratwurst. Bratwurst
I think that's the first mention of it, right? So I don't want to cut you off, but the idea is they have this subscription company they want to start called the Worst Subscription, and they're learning from this year's Cube Awards nominees to try to launch and pitch their subscription, the Worst Subscription.
But the idea where this originated though was like, were you guys just joking about like this would be a funny name for it? How did you come up with this story arc, I guess? Yeah,
so it was Chris used it as a fun little thing for like telling how to the pitch. I did like a small like little introduction on how to pitch to the people that are working in the pitch competition. And that's where it started. That's when he used that name.
Okay.
And then what happened later is we were really trying to do how do we show off all of these nominees and not just do a video that is unrelated to the Cube Awards. And we figured out that that's such a funny and somewhat ridiculous, we could make it pretty ridiculous, that we would be able to get takeaways and learn about these Cube Award nominees and try to implement it into making this ridiculous business. And then the twist is that we do so much studying and we don't take the correct takeaways and we make it ridiculous. But it's a great way of demonstrating that all those Cube nominees while putting it into this ridiculous idea of the bratwurst subscription.
Yeah, I mean it's so good. You guys were such good actors on it, just phenomenal. And Bradley, you're directing. Everything about it was just, you guys did such a good job to really like high quality production.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And Alex had a cameo in it. You're handing out.
I shot it, and then I had a cameo. I was handing out. The part of the joke is that there's no packaging, and they hand deliver each bratwurst to be sustainable and help the environment. And so I was hand delivering your bratwurst to you during the pitch.
Yeah.
But I just thought where people might be able to watch this if they want to watch it is at www.theworstsubscription.com, because we actually have the domain.
So we just yesterday or 2 days ago exported it all stitched together.
We need to get it posted on the landing page.
We will put it on the landing page, and you can go to www.theworstsubscription.com.
Any variation of worst you can think of.
We have all of the redirects.
We have all the redirects.
So
you can go to worstsubscription.com. We bought a bunch of
We bought all of them
in this. But I think like that's where the whole story is cool. It ends in a Shark Tank style pitch, where you guys are pitching myself, John Hodge, and Chris George, the founders of SubSummit, and hilarity ensues. It's such a fun thing to watch. If you have 12 minutes of your life to give up for this, it's well worth it. I highly advise checking it out. And so that was a highlight of the event, was watching people's reactions to that video. And you guys spent like 2 full days filming this, right? Like you were nonstop.
Yeah, and they were long days. For that second one, we were up till 3 a.m. doing that one.
Yeah,
so they were long, and we got a lot of footage, but it paid off. Like we got a ton of footage, but we needed that like back and forth stuff between me and Chris. So I would say for me, when you're talking about seeing reactions, that's exciting. I could really only hear laughing because all I could do is watch the screen. It was difficult for me to just stare at people. But
Right.
Alex got some footage of people, and
Did you get reaction shots?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you got a few in there. They were laughing. I mean, they were really
That's
were
great.
laughing. So that was nice for me to see.
Yeah.
Because I was just so like I didn't want to like look around like I was nervous, so
Yeah.
I just wanted to see the screen. So I could hear laughing and I was happy, but
Yeah.
it was cool to see. So we have some footage of people.
That's so cool. Yeah.
laughing on that, so.
The George Abraham from Netflix, Vishal from Shipped, Michelle formerly from Hinge, and I think Sarah from Patreon all sat at a table together. And the feedback I got from Vishal was that they all thought it was hilarious and enjoyed every minute of it. And I think that's really cool because, sometimes I want to make sure I always want to have those gut checks. Like, are we doing something that only we find is funny and we enjoy more because we know each other? Or are we doing something for the community that like what I loved about what you guys did in that video is you highlighted the important things about those subscriptions. There's personalization as a part of Teach Hanley and,
Customer service,
customer
with TUI.
service, emails. Yeah. And so like it highlights those important things in a funny and humorous and cool way on it. Nice writing on that. You wrote the script too.
Yeah,
right?
thank you. Well, me and Chris both wrote it, and I'd say I had the strongest hand in directing it. But yeah, I mean, I think if we take this into kind of like the route of like the serious route about just nominees and how much work they put into it. Obviously, being over the top and comedic, we research it and we don't put the correct things in place. We don't do it very well, but when we were doing it, we were seeing and trying to mention all these little things.
Yeah.
And we have that whole whiteboard of things that all of the businesses that are attending have thought about, have, over years of work,
Yeah.
put that together. So to be able to call that out and say, and even highlight specific ones that do things well, but also just in general of all the little things that they put into place. I think it was good to highlight that.
Yeah.
And just a funny package,
I also think like full picture, Bradley's referencing a shot from the film where we have all of these different things that different subscription companies do well, but I think it's I think it kind of ties back to the conference itself, and that we talk a lot about how the Netflixes and the Hulus, the big companies, and then the small subscription boxes that may just be startup with 100 or 200 subscribers, or they're still just kind of getting their feet under themselves. These are things that they all have to think about, and they can all chat about. They're all facing the same problems, and that's what makes SubSummit so awesome.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about this for a minute, a little BTS action, because you finished the video the night before. This is the closest we ever push it, because the team was we were firing all cylinders leading up to SubSummit. Everybody is helping out in every direction. I mean, you were reaching out to people for sponsorships and attendees, and so a lot of our timelines got pushed this year up in the last minute. And we sat there and watched it that night. First things first, we were crying. We were laughing so hard at it. But then we sat back and we had like a gut check moment. We had a little friction there for a minute where Chris Chambers and I were questioning if we were pushing it too far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is an important conversation that I think is good to be had in between creatives, and especially when you're working in like an e-commerce space, and it's not just separate. These are dealing with things that people do work with all the time. And I think we did have friction in a sense that I made the funniest version that I could make.
Yeah.
And especially with the cramming of it. And I think I was probably just a little frustrated because we were just like, it worked so hard and now we're like all this negativity. But taking a step back, and especially I would say the next day after, and even after the reception, I'm glad we had those conversations. We didn't have to, and I think you're probably going to bring this up, we didn't have to cut as much as as maybe we thought at first. And I think the thing is we looked at all those things because we really, really cared about what people's thoughts were. So we looked at even minute things. You don't want to say overly sensitive. I wouldn't say that's the correct thing, because that feels like you're forcing emotion onto it. But it's more of like, we just wanted to make sure that this was, a positive light.
Right.
for companies, and that we weren't shedding any negativity.
Yeah, and that was the thing that we started to question. I think there are a couple of small adjustments you made to the video that were like,
they weren't big ones. They're just a couple little things that I think do go a long way.
Yeah, but that was our gut check for kind of filling our audience a little bit. Is like we watched it. One, we immediately loved it, but then we're like, okay, let's dial back for a second and see like, are we pushing this too far in terms of where it starts to become like mocking a little bit? And at the end of the day, our conclusion was no, but I think that was a good gut check to have, because that's what we want to create, that environment.
We wanted the jokes to land at Bradley and Chris and their subscription business, and not at the businesses that they were drawing inspiration from. Because the funny part is that they totally take it all wrong, you know. But it's important to note that we're trying to highlight all the hard work and then have fun and provide an entertaining experience. But we don't want to take away from that hard work and make them the butt of the joke, you know. So that was ultimately, I was really glad we had that conversation. And like you said, we didn't have to change much, but it was a good gut check. And
it was, because I mean, it's good to think about these things. And I think when we first intended it, we wanted to highlight in that positive fashion, and we wanted it to, so it was coming from that ideal, and then by the time we got the edit through, we wanted to make sure that was still coming from a genuine place, or that people could tell that was coming from a genuine place. Now, I don't know if I told you, Alex, but I had a conversation with Paul and AC, Anthony Coombs from Splendies, at the after party. And that was really rewarding to me, because without any sort of asking a question or anything like that, he just naturally brought up the fact that it shows off a lot of the hard work that they do. And it, you know, just the fact that he would bring that up and was saying like, oh my gosh, you broke down all these little things that, and then, you know, and it wasn't, and just to know that it wasn't negated or anything, or it wasn't taking away from anything when we went really comedic with it. Because whenever you go funny, it's like you could either be laughing with someone or laughing at someone. And I think we're still able to put that out. So I'm glad that the where it came from got, you know, portrayed in what we were.
And I think doing. And that comes through in the work, and you know, and just kind of every piece of it. You guys, did yourselves. I don't know how we top that next year. That's the problem.
Well, we said that last year, so.
Well, that's true.
Pressure was good.
Yeah.
Pressure is good.
No, that's really good to constantly be trying to outdo ourselves. And I think overall, like the Cube Awards went really well. There's a couple takeaways that we learned, ways we can improve that experience, that show. And people always forget it's part of SubSummit. Like it's a free, everybody wants to go out to dinner and do things, but like dinner's there, like all these things. So if you're going to SubSummit next year, just make sure you know to go to the Cube Awards. A couple other things that I really love from this year, it's gonna be hard for me to say in front of this audience, this room here, but like this podcasting stage, I know there was a lot of friction because as a team, there's a lot of last minute, like what's in Paul's brain. He didn't export this out of his brain to anybody, and we're all running around trying to like fill the gaps. But like, I thought it went well, and that was a fun addition to the expo hall too, with people podcasting specifically.
And there was I mean, they were full. I mean, people were really checking those out. Yeah. You know, and I liked that, because I think in the past, haven't we kind of done a little bit of a hybrid where sometimes it wasn't necessarily podcast recordings. It was just like you were recording a podcast, but it wasn't from the place of like we had a bunch of podcasters. Yeah. Like actually coming on. We had that, you know, partially before, but like it literally was like podcasters that are doing e-commerce subscription podcasts are doing that podcast just live. Yeah. And I thought that was really, really neat.
Yeah. So we're going to quadruple down on that next year, I think.
For sure.
But make sure it's planned appropriately.
Yeah. No, I think it went off well. It was just like everything, you know, where we figured it out, right? You know, we got it figured out, and I thought it went really well. It was really cool to have Travis Chappell talking with you.
Travis and I talked for like 53 minutes, and time just flew by, just sitting up on stage and chatting, you know?
Yeah, we had Travis and Friends, we had Oopsie's podcast, and we had Matt Edmondson. Mm-hmm. Am I forgetting anyone? The who actually were recording podcasts at SubSummit this year?
There were a couple, and we had a couple sessions on this stage too. I think going forward, it'll just be podcasts. And look, we'll keep building on that. That'll be a fun thing to do even more, because it's a great opportunity for people to see and listen to it live. You know, you listen to it after the fact, but I think watching it live is a lot of fun, and having a live audience too can be entertaining for the podcasters.
Yeah.
Get a little bit of that background audio, but I think it's valuable. Any favorite sessions that you guys had where I know you were like in and out and around, but like
it can be tough when you are filming because even if you're there for a good amount of time, I am so focused on getting a shot that I sometimes those words just go through. But I did catch some of Ben Parr's talk, and I liked that. On the final day, Wade Davis he's a very good speaker, and so that he is very eloquent, and I think it was transcendent of not just e-commerce, but just as your character as a whole, and I really thought that was great too. So those are the two that come to mind for me.
Yeah, that was a good one. Those were great ones.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like my absolute favorites. I thought all the panels were awesome. It was just so cool to hear some of the success stories, you know, like hearing probably John Roman and AC. Their talk together was probably one of my favorites. You know, just hearing everything that, you know, AC's gone through, getting, you know, the face of women's underwear. It was a good laugh. You know, he's like, so I'm sure this is what you thought the face of women's underwear looked like. If you don't know AC, then connect with him on LinkedIn. But no, I thought all the sessions this year were great, and we had a really good lineup of speakers, covered a lot of topics, and like Bradley said, it's tough because we're getting bits and pieces, right? Like there's 3 sessions going on, and we gotta get shots from all of them. But a lot of fun this year. I don't know how you and Lauren are gonna top the speaker lineup next year.
I tell you, we already have a lot of great connections and conversations going. Super excited for it. One of my sessions that I haven't had a chance to watch yet, but Chris Chambers sent it to me, was the one. What was it called? Managing and Experimenting with Offerings. And it was moderated by David Warren of the Subscribed Institute and Zora, with panelists Michael Ribeiro from Washington Post, the Chief Subscription Officer at Washington Post, and Ken Hausman from the New York Times. And the feedback I've received on that one was just, 1, David did a phenomenal job moderating it, but 2, the content and a lot of great takeaways out of that one. I'm super excited. For those that don't know, too, we have a special offering we're starting to put out there where you can rewatch a lot of our track room sessions, and they come preset with full transcripts alongside Cliff's notes, or sort of AI-driven summaries of the sessions, which are really cool. And you can click to those points in the video and stuff like that. So if you miss out on any of this stuff, go to subsummit.com. You can get part of it still and see it.
And I was blown away by that technology when you
it's
first showed it
unbelievable.
to me.
Yeah.
I mean, like the way you can navigate the track sessions in a efficient format, if you want to see a specific thing, like it literally just guides you through it. It gets a whole transcript. You can click to that spot and like you can get the notes, and it's like it's literally like a perfect Cliff Note if you are not able to attend those directly. Like that technology rules.
It says here at 519, Mike discusses optimizing for customer lifetime value and engagement, including running sales and implementing price increases, while Ken emphasizes the importance of building up value from day one.
See, that's insane to me.
WTF.
Yeah, we didn't write that. We didn't specifically write that.
The AI engine at Grain watched this, built a full transcript, and then took these key takeaways in there. This is worth $1 bajillion to like anybody. You know, that was actually on that note, Amir from Prella, Amir, right? Amir. His takeaway was, we asked him, like, he got a text message, or it was one of his LinkedIn posts. He's like, I got a message from SubSummit as I was leaving, like, what kind of value did I get from it? And he posted, like, I couldn't even come up with a number. So I chimed in. I'm like, so was it like around $1 bajillion? And he's like, yeah, at least. So quote on the SubSummit website next year, total value
worth $1 bajillion.
$1 bajillion.
At least.
Yeah.
Did we not talk? We should talk pitch competition.
Oh my gosh.
That's a big segment that I think we left out, and I think personally I have a couple thoughts on that too.
Well, also what I love about our conversation around like this takeaway is this is more like BTS type stuff, you know, behind the scenes.
Yeah, we haven't really done this a ton.
No.
I think this is cool.
Yeah. This is so. I want to hear yours, but let me brain dump for a second. My thing that I loved about the pitch competition this year was the Shark Tank style setup we went with. I wanted to do this for 3 years. Every year I'm like, let's put the judges on stage. Everybody's like, you won't be able to see them. That's a terrible idea. I'm like, just trust me. This year, I didn't run the idea by anybody. I just did it. And I think I thought it worked out really well.
Unilateral decision making paid off here. No, it was so cool. And what I loved was that all of the finalists brought personalized gifts or samples for the judges, just like Shark Tank, and that caught me so off guard.
Incredible.
I was down there filming B-roll of the audience, and I looked up to the stage to see Jennifer Lee, our winner, handing out personalized entry envy signs for the judges. I thought, wow, and then they all followed through with gifts for the judges. They all were on top of that. We didn't tell them to do that, you know.
And they all asked if they could do it, and we're like, yeah, you can. And we didn't really realize it, and so like last minute, they're all like, oh, we all have something. And so we like did a quick call to Allie and Morgan, my daughters. We're like, hey, girls, you need to be handing out stuff to the judges on stage, and they're like panicking because we're going on stage in front of hundreds of people, but they did great with it. Like, what were some of your takeaways from it, though, Brado?
I was going to mention those exact things.
Yeah.
And I think from especially from me and Alex's standpoint, we're always looking at, as creatives, we're always looking at the presentation of things, and so it felt so much more because you're still doing it in front of a large audience, but somehow it's still intimate now. Whereas I feel like if the judges are towards the audience, you're like looking down and you're not like, it's the thing, the phrase is like good in a room, right? Yeah. Like you are pitching something and, you know, conveying something to someone one-on-one, and to be able to have like that basically like invisible room, you know, or walls that are invisible, but it's a little room almost that they could pitch to, was really, really neat. And I thought in terms of an audience experience too, that's really, really fun to be on the inside of that. And
you could see
there's always takeaways.
And you could see that. And, you guys didn't witness this like I did in person, and no knock against Shop Talk, but as a total knock against Shop Talk is our pitch competition eats their pitch to competition for breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, and late night snack. Like, is so far and above, and all that's attributed to like the amazing team that we have from you guys all the way down to the on-site guys. Because, you know, we lead it off with a video that plays and talks about like the judges and introduces them and gets, you know, people familiar with it. And then we do 2 pitch competitors up there. And again, that Shark Tank style, the judges with a TV on stage. And then we do an interlude video where we revisit previous pitch competitors. And you guys spent the time ahead of the event talking with them, getting feedback with them, and truly is an amazing production and a great show, and honors and admires all those in the community. And I think like that's what's so cool about like the extra lengths we go to make it just so amazing. And
I thought just the quality of our finalists this year was awesome. You know,
we didn't even get to that part yet, but like the finalists were unbelievable.
I actually I didn't get a chance to talk to all the finalists, but I connected with Bobby DeMars from Blind Barrels really well. We had a good chat, and I was already going to subscribe to Blind Barrels. As like, I'm a huge bourbon guy, and it was just such a cool idea. But I connected with him, and just hearing his story and what a good guy he is, and loving his product. And right away I signed up for the annual subscription, and it's coming for Father's Day. My dad and I to do some blind bourbon tasting together. So thank you, Bobby and Blind Barrels. But no, all of the finalists did such an amazing job, and they all deserved it. They all worked their butts off and had awesome, awesome pitches.
Megan from Tias for Tot, Stephanie from Bariatric Book Society, Bobby from Blind Barrels, and then Jennifer, our pitch competition winner from Entry Envy, all just great competitors. And what was super cool is they also were really supportive of each other. The text message group that I saw, I think Lauren was on a text message group with them, was so awesome. They were cheering each other on. They were offering advice to each other. And that's what I'm always so proud about with SubSummit, is how much, even in the trenches, they're fighting for $10,000 cash. Like, they're there, they're right next to each other, supporting each other along the way. I thought that was super cool part of it too.
I was going to bring something up as well that jogged my memory because of what Alex said, is that if you're attending this, you get to witness a Shark Tank live, and that's super fun, and you like watching Shark Tank, and it's very similar to that. But you get an experience after that you wouldn't get. You can go talk to them. Like you can just go hang out with them with all their experiences. And let's say you want to collaborate with them. So you could learn from them. You could partner up with them. You could do a ton of things and say, hey, I really liked what you presented here. Even just feedback if you're a pitch contestant, anything like this, like positives, like critiques, like there's so much you can have when you have interaction like that.
Right.
And that's something you don't get by just watching a TV,
No.
So.
And it's cool. So Brian McMahon, one of our, is our third year we've had him as a pitch competition judge. This year he said, how else can I help? And I love, like, Brian McMahon is my spirit animal. Like, I love him. He's a great guy and super gracious to our community. And he has that, like, he's out there investing millions upon millions of dollars in different startups and running a large VC fund and just all these different things. He's such a busy guy, but he takes the time to say, like, how else can I help you? And he said, how about this year I do a workshop for anybody who applied to the pitch competition, anybody who's in it, anybody who was part of it in any way whatsoever. He did this workshop for this small intimate group. It ended up being about 20, 30 people. And almost everybody who walked out of there said, I could be done with SubSummit right now. That was before SubSummit even started. They did this workshop with him where he gave tons of advice and feedback. And they're like, these takeaways alone from this moment were so beneficial. And they got to talk to other people in business. And then I see an email Brian sent yesterday with, like, to everybody that was in that workshop saying, like, hey, keep this momentum going. Everybody put a give and a get in may reply to all, like, what's something you're looking for and people can help with, and what's something you can give to other people. And that, like, that community, so you form this other little micro community of those pitch competitors. So super cool. And I'm excited to do that again next year and keep building on that. So.
I think we could talk SubSummit all day. But
I know.
CG is going to have some awesome stuff to talk about on the next episode.
Yeah.
I'm already excited for next year.
I know.
We do have to start thinking about the keyboards, Bradley, because I don't know.
Listen,
I don't know how we're going to top it.
The sooner we get, that's right. The sooner we think about it, the better. I mean, we got some work to do to make that even better.
Some of our best times come from playing Xbox and cracking open some cold ones.
Right, so and just talking.
We should definitely do more of that and hang out.
Yeah, that's a good excuse to do that. But lots of times that is when you're. I mean, I think people, just networking generally, like a happy hour, just a way to get together. And sometimes, like, it's just talking as friends, but, like, stuff like that happens all the time when we're just hanging out and we're like, that's smart, like, let's do that sort of thing.
How many of the best ideas do you think happen that way compared to in a boardroom?
Like, let's go grab a drink,
breaking bread.
All of them.
Yeah, exactly. Sharing a meal, sitting down, coffee. I know a ton of people in LA that's just the culture. Yeah. Like, you just go and get coffee. Like, that's just so common.
After SubSummit, I texted Patrick Campbell. I was like, where in the world are you? I'm going to fly to wherever you are and we'll do lunch or dinner. And we're still working out, but, like, in July, I'm going to go find him in Utah or wherever he's going to be, and just to have dinner with him, because he's such a smart guy and I value my conversations with him. And he's like, we could do, like, a Zoom. I was like, no, man, we got to grab a meal and, like, break bread. And so much comes from that. And, like, those kind of moments are so worth it. I know our AV team's coming in town soon. We're going to start talking about all those other things and get ready for SubSummit 2024. So
coming up quick.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's a good stopping point on all this. I think lots of great things came out of this year's event. If you don't already have FOMO from not being there, go to the, I don't know why you wouldn't have, like, you for sure should have FOMO at this point because you heard all these awesome things. Go to the website, join the waitlist, subsummit.com. You can join the waitlist for 2024. Can't get tickets yet, but if you get on the waitlist, you're going to have the first opportunity at tickets. If you like this episode today, please share with a friend. That's the best way we can continue to share the love for subscriptions, membership, and recurring revenue in our community. Like, comment, let us know what you think out there, and look forward to seeing everybody on the next episode. Thanks, everybody.